Hi, and welcome to a rather special Zoost clip. Obviously in the news we've seen all the atrocities with a professional footballer kicking a cat, and it goes without saying that we here find anything like that disgusting. But what I actually wanted to talk about was there might not be any broken bones, the cat might appear normal, but actually there's an awful lot of things that could manifest as the cat carries on with its life. And I thought I'm not going to show you the whole clip or anything like that, because that's been doing enough throughout social media, but we just need to show you a couple of little bits, and I do apologise for the graphic content, but they will help when I'm explaining what goes on. So first of all, if we look at the clip where he's drop kicking the cat, so we'll look at that, and then I'll explain what's going on, and then we're going to look at when he flat hand slaps the cat. So first off, let's look at the clip where he drop kicks the cat. So you'll notice that the kitchen in the clip has a tiled floor, and with any pets, sort of slippery floors are not brilliant. Cats are normally alright because they've got pretty good grip. They haven't got good grip if they're being dropped and then kicked at the same time. Now if you look at this, where he actually connects with his foot, he's connecting sort of around the base of the rib cage and the abdomen. Now there are several things that can happen. Cats are very flexible, we know that, but they're not evolved to take a kick from another animal the size of a human, and certainly not a professional sports person. So what might be a light kick for him, to that cat is a massive blunt form trauma. Now you imagine that energy is going in to those tissues, so you've got that sort of bang, and then you've got that ripple effect. Within that area you've got ribs that are wafer thin. Now they're very flexible because cats are very flexible, but again, if you catch them at the wrong angle, the force can create either microfracturing or actual fracturing. So you've got that. You've got the muscles in between the ribs. You've then got the muscular attachments for the diaphragm, the big muscular sheet that we use to breathe with. And then we've got the abdominal organs. So you've got the stomach, you've got the spleen, you've got the pancreas, you've got the liver, the kidneys, the bladder. Now, I work embedded in veterinary practices, and it's not uncommon to see a cat that has been hit either by a vehicle or something like that, or just knocked by something blunt form trauma wise, or even abused animals such as this one. And it's not uncommon to see a ruptured bladder or a small tear in the liver, and you get internal bleeding, just a small amount, but that can set up either a low-grade infection or an inflammatory response. You can get damage to the kidneys. Yes, most of the time it will repair, but there's still going to be scarring within those tissues, so that there are longer term aspects to this. And you're talking a very small animal compared to the size of the person dishing out the forces. So that's that one. And longer term, what are the effects to this animal? Well, yes, you could x-ray and you could say nothing's broken, but where that force has gone in, if all that energy hasn't dissipated out, you can get energy locked up in the soft tissues, mostly in the fascia and the muscles. Now, the fascia is connective tissue that sort of envelops organs and muscles and that, and it also separates different parts of the body. But if you get trauma, that energy going into the body that hasn't exited, you can end up with just changes in the movement. Now, as the cat gets older, those changes in movement will effectively create adverse wear and tear to certain joints. Might become apparent during the cat's life, they might not. But these are the considerations that people need to make. And when you are annoyed with your animal, or you're annoyed with life or whatever else, just remember these things, because it's very easy to damage something. It's a lot harder to get it fixed. And a lot of these things are ticking time bombs. They don't show up until much later on. Now, if we look at the second incident, and in some respects this is worse, because the cat is being restrained. And then it takes a blunt force trauma to the side of its head. First off, on the side of the head are the ears. You take a flat hand impact, you've got a shock wave hitting the eardrum. So there could be damage to the eardrum, there could be inflammation caused due to that. More importantly, the cat is being restrained. So although cats are very flexible, you restrain it and then hit it, more of the force is going to stay within the tissues of that animal. And you hit the side of the head and you've got the top of the neck. And at the very top of the neck, exiting out from the brain, are some very important nerves. One of which is the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve controls balance, sweating, digestion, heart rate, blinking. It goes on and on and on. It's one of the major parts of the autonomic nervous system, that the parts that are all automatic that we don't think about. So we don't think how often our heart beats, how often we swallow, how often we blink, how we regulate our temperature. Balance, though, is a major thing, and cats like climbing, and if their balance is affected, that could affect their well-being at a later stage when they're climbing a tree or a fence or trying to get away from something, and they might fall. They might misjudge when they jump because their proprioception, their spatial awareness, has been altered. People that get affected up here, and we've seen it a lot with dogs, you get travel sickness because it's irritating the vagus nerve. So again, on an x-ray will probably look okay. You very rarely see changes that are measurable, but you can feel them in the soft tissues. That is a massive one. So you've got the hearing and you've got this. You could also, when you take a blunt form trauma, it's not impossible for it to damage the retina of the eye, the really photosensitive parts at the back of the eye. So again, you can get all sorts of problems there. You can get microbleeding into the eye. You could get effects to the sinuses. You take a trauma like that, it could traumatise the sinuses, the teeth. It goes on and on, the way the jaw interacts with the rest of the skull. So we've got lots and lots of things to think about locally, and then that side smack and the fact that the cat is launched off the table, you've got all the other things, and the cat is going to try and land on its feet. And it's got to try and process what's just happened to it and land on its feet. So you've got all number of spiralling aspects that can affect right the way through the entire body of the cat. And a lot of these things, again, it's the same as with the blunt force trauma to the abdomen and the sort of lower thorax. All of these things can be ticking time bombs, and that is really where the problem presides. He's going to forget about this. He's going to carry on. He might do a pet awareness course, which, let's face it, he's a highly intelligent, very wealthy individual. He shouldn't need to be told that, however heavy he is, kicking a 4 or 5 kilo cat and hitting a 4 or 5 kilo cat is in any way appropriate. I mean, where in his upbringing is that appropriate? And it worries me when I see people doing this kind of damage to animals that cannot defend themselves. It is a very thin line before they're doing that to other people, and then you're looking at bullying issues and all of that. I think inherently there is a bigger problem there, but I want to concentrate on just the effects to the victim. in this case. I've talked about all the physical stuff. I'm not really qualified to talk about the psychological effects that this can have on an animal, which could affect its appetite. I didn't even mention the reproductive organs. From the video, it looks like it's possibly a female cat, but it could be either. But you could have had any number of things happen there. We don't know if it's already been neutered, and if so, how long ago, you know, if that's all healed up or not. So there are so many aspects that could affect this cat later on in life. And who's to say it's an isolated incident? You know, if this has gone on for a while, then there could be sustained problems, brain damage, all sorts of other stuff. Again, I didn't mention the fact that you take a blow to the side of your head, your brain is suspended within ligaments inside the skull, it ricochets around a bit. That basically kills brain cells that won't be replaced. So if nothing else from this video, we just want you to think about what happens in situations like this. So if you do want to impress your friends, if you do want to act big, or you're having a bad day, do not take it out on a small defenceless animal, on anything living. Do not take it out, okay? There are gyms, there are places to go, there's help around, there's help for everyone. You do not need to abuse an animal, okay? Hopefully our next video will be much happier than this and much better than this. This has been a very emotional response. I've tried to keep it as clinical as I can to the situations that have unfolded in the last few days. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe, please do follow us, please do carry on helping us. We want to try and improve the lives of animals and improve the health of animals and also people. So until then, take care, and we'll see you soon. All the best.